Coming up on this special edition of INTV, we showcase sustainability across INEOS. Our Young Climate in Energy network tell us how they're mapping out a greener future. We find out how our sites will reach net zero by 2050. We take a look at our new Aromatics and Acetals businesses. And our groundbreaking recycling technology Infinia is unpacked as the journey to circularity continues. All this and more from across the INEOS group. This is INTV.
Hello and welcome to our sustainability special INTV from our new INEOS Acetals plant here in Hull. Today I'm joined by Sophie Galazinski, who works across our sports teams. So Sophie, it must have been a busy summer for you.
Well, things are certainly moving fast here at INEOS, but I think today we're in for a bit of a marathon with all the great stories we've got to get through.
Now, for many people on the outside, a chemicals company being at the forefront of sustainability might seem a bit counterintuitive. But for INEOS, sustainability and the drive to net zero are at the heart of our business strategy.
Led by Sir Jim Ratcliffe, INEOS is working hard and taking action to achieve this by 2050. Group Technology Director Pete Williams and Head of Energy and Innovation Policy Greet van Etvelde have more.
As we all know, nation-states across the world have set themselves the target of achieving net zero emissions by 2050. And in addition, they're putting in place the regulation and legislation to achieve that. So what does that mean for INEOS? Already we've set 3 key targets for greenhouse gas emission reduction. First of all, as Jim says in the front of our new sustainability report, net zero by 2050, 55% by 2030, and 10% by 2025. But the key thing is action, not just talking about it. We have a group of people who are really passionate about sustainability and getting us on the road to transition towards net zero by 2050. First of all our businesses and on sites as well, we're putting in place roadmaps identifying all the key actions. So usually in this way, give ourselves a target and then get the actions in hand. And I can't emphasize how important it is that we start to take those actions today, because for every ton or every kilogram of CO2 we can take out today, we save obviously a lot more than that by the year 2050. We've launched a major new hydrogen business. We plan to develop green hydrogen. We plan to fuel our sites with hydrogen and reduce emissions very substantially by doing that. And the second opportunity we're actually putting into practice already is making new products from recycled materials, really trying to deliver the circular economy in which we reuse materials and helping us stop leakage of any of our products into the natural environment. One way of reducing CO2 emissions quite quickly is practicing carbon capture technology. Taking CO2 out of waste streams, or even taking in the future CO2 from the atmosphere and storing it in a way that it can't come back into the atmosphere underground. Another item we're looking at is also acquiring more renewable energy. And this is another important aspect of trying to achieve net zero emissions through electrification of some of our systems and delivery of that electrification using renewable power. So a whole host of actions going on in our different businesses and different sites. And the key to this transition to net zero is making sure that we work with our partners across the whole value chain so that we can achieve our overall target. And if we continue to work in that way and develop these new ways of working and pursue the technologies we think we can work, even if some eventually fail, then I'm absolutely sure we'll achieve the transition to net zero.
You can look around, you can see there is climate change. You also can look at the data and the facts that this is caused by greenhouse gases. It's a huge challenge, I think probably one of the largest that the world has faced.
It's real and it's here. So sustainability to me actually means that we have to fix the planet.
It's difficult not to worry, is it? And you want to make sure that what we do doesn't continue contributing to that. And if we're going to do that, we're going to have to do it more sustainably going forward than the world has done previously.
As the world battles climate change, by 2050, nations and industries hope to have achieved a dramatic reduction in carbon emissions. To ensure this target is met, INEOS has devised a number of roadmaps for each of its sites that will see emissions reduced in stages, including a 55% reduction by 2030 before reaching net zero by 2050.
To tackle climate change is impossible without chemical industry, because we are providing the basic building blocks who will provide the solutions for the future. To give you one example, a windmill is impossible without the polymers we produce.
Yes, we run energy-intensive industries that do a lot of good for society and do a lot of things that help society. What we need to do is we need to keep running them, but in a sustainable way.
To achieve this, there are 6 key areas for emission reduction that will ensure ways of working become more sustainable. The first of these sounds simple, but it's a big one: changing the fuel we use.
INEOS is the largest renewable power buyer in Belgium to supply our sites with wind energy coming from the wind farms in the North Sea. And that's quite exciting because it's the first one in Belgium. Another example is our focus on hydrogen.
We think hydrogen has a major role to play in the energy transition as a means to replace combustion of fossil fuels today. We manufacture quite a lot of hydrogen already, and we have plans to invest in making that a business in its own right. In Raffnes we have a YCEN plant, which is the precursor to PVC. And what we're going to do is we're going to build a 20 megawatt hydrogen electrolyzer. So it will take water and electricity and it will make hydrogen. Hydrogen will go in and replace gas in the VCM crackers. And on the back of that, we will start also feeding hydrogen into the transport market.
Switching out different forms of energy is just the start, but ensuring that the products INEOS make are more sustainable means finding new materials from which to make them.
We are looking at replacing some of the fossil-based raw materials into what is called bio-based materials. An example of this is INEOS Phenol, certified by an external body to be able to deliver bio-based phenol. And this will, at source, basically reduce the CO2 emission.
A year and a half ago, we launched BioVin, which is a bio-based PVC, where we use effectively pine oil from wood that is put in the crackers as feedstock. Some of the big brands that perhaps previously were reluctant to use PVC are now coming back and saying this is a fantastic product. There's no doubt that bio-based products will be an important part of this transition, but I still think that the ultimate solution is recycling the product that's out there.
The third step in this chain is optimization, making sure that everything INEOS does is in the safest, most efficient way possible.
This is in our DNA, in the heart of what we do. And that's also the reason why INEOS, with many of its production sites, is a leader on a global basis. Our phenol unit in Antwerp, this is the most energy efficient unit in the world at this stage.
Back in 2005, when INEOS took over Rangemouth, carbon emissions were around about just under 5 million tonnes. Now we're sitting at about 3 million tonnes, so that is a 37% reduction. And that takes us from 5 to 3. Now the next step is to go from 3 to 2. Historically, we've done things like replace old plants with new plants that give you greater efficiency. We've done a lot of work on optimization, but we need to go a lot harder and a lot faster.
It's all about getting into the detail about what is our energy consumption. Could we change the way we provide energy to the plant? So the obvious example to that very recently is the decision to retire the old salt plant in Tavaux in France, which uses steam based on fossil fuel generation to evaporate salt, and replace that with an electrical solution.
Even though processes like these are being worked on to reduce carbon emissions, there are also methods to capture and store it before it can even enter the atmosphere. Antwerp already has one such process up and running in a partnership called BECO2. And at Grangemouth in Scotland, the site is part of an ambitious project called Acorn.
So the Acorn project at its heart is a project where depleted oil and gas fields off the northeast coast of Scotland can be used to safely store CO2. Put the carbon back into the depleted oil fields, mainly into the porous sandstone rock, which can safely keep it there. The part of the Acorn that is significant to us is joining that up with our complex here. It will safely and efficiently capture the CO2 from industries like ours and other high-intensity industries, and it will be a great part of the journey towards net zero in 2045.
And lastly, When these 5 measures have been applied and emissions reduced, carbon offsetting will also be considered. All of these methods and processes are being driven every day by the work of countless individuals across the group, at every level, fueled by a passion to make a difference.
Sustainability has become a kind of buzzword, but in reality, if you look at it, it's just common sense. And therefore, it always has been in our processes.
We are a population of scientists and engineers. We have the skills, we have the capability, and we have the strong values to deliver this sustainable future across the world.
I'm confident that INEOS will be a big part of the solution for the green transition, undoubtedly. And it will require changes that we as consumers will have to do in our everyday lives as well. This is a journey that not just companies like INEOS and Innovin are on, it's the society that's on them.
With roadmaps to net zero across all INEOS businesses in place, the task is now to deliver on them. Key to this will be the Climate and Energy Network, led by INEOS's Head of Energy and Innovation, Griet van Etvelde. For Griet, the environment plays heavily on the mind.
It is confronting, isn't it? What is happening with the environment around us? This is midsummer for us now, but we've had extreme heat, and in Houston we have experienced extreme cold with a freeze over there at the start of the year. And there were droughts, but also the opposite, the heavy rains with the floods. Whatever it is, it shocks everyone. And it seems like nothing is more pressing today than climate change. Well, at INEOS, for more than 10 years now, we have a very strong and an ever-growing climate and energy network, YCEN as we call it. It's a forum where we share insights and ideas on a variety of environmental topics. Not only policies, but also strategies, responsibilities, social and financial responsibilities. In fact, it is YCEN, it is that network that pushes sustainability higher and higher on INEOS's agenda. And of course, it's always the businesses in the lead, but it's also the sites themselves, and it's our people. It's the people that drive this agenda, with colleagues with 20, 30, 40 years of experience at INEOS. But this also has a downside, and the downside is that in 5 to 10 years, most of us, many of us, will not be there anymore. And I can say us, because I probably will be one of them. Every downside has a flip side. And here the upside is that a lot of young people today choose to work for INEOS. It's a positive choice because those young graduates, those new recruits, they know that they can contribute and they can help chemical industry move forward and get that challenge done by 2050. Because we need radical change, not incremental steps, but real step change. We all know that the values of a successful company align with what our employees really want, what they really care for. So at INEOS, we can rest assured. With young YCEN, INEOS's future is in very good hands.
Hi, I'm Paige.
My name is Ryan Stevens.
My name is Elfie Michelsy.
I'm Brendan Craggs.
I'm Matthias Schnellmann.
And I'm a member of the Climate and Energy Network at INEOS.
And I'm a member of YCEN.
And I'm part of YCEN.
I am a member of YCEN.
The Young Climate and Energy Network was launched earlier this year in April, and it's an INEOS-wide network that brings together all those early in their career that are interested in climate and energy, and also share updates from what's going on in each other's roles and businesses.
We're all part of the same generation, so we kind of had the same exposure to the growing concerns that the world is facing.
We have so many engineers, scientists, commercial people across the globe in many different businesses. You can learn so much just from speaking to people.
we're all passing on learnings to each other, and we can put these in practice in our daily work.
A lot of what we're talking about hasn't been done before. I feel like this is going to be the future of working at INEOS and maybe the industry overall.
I do feel empowered to make a difference. INEOS is a company that's built on challenge, and it gives its people the scope and the accountability to deliver. For example, I was working with the sites in Antwerp to develop roadmaps for how they can reduce their carbon dioxide emissions. And the first steps in these roadmaps are now being taken.
I got involved in the YCEN because I work as a carbon and environment specialist for one of the biggest business of INEOS. Well, I feel extremely excited that my daily job is around sustainability, around finding ways to make the manufacture of the product that we use every day, finding ways to produce them in the most sustainable way. There are a lot of challenges to solve to do that, but I'm extremely excited to work with an incredible team, with motivated people, highly skilled people to achieve that objective.
So the opportunity to get involved in YCEN was really important. It had some clear benefits for communication, and we wanted to try and put this in place for Grangemouth.
From the YCEN, we've actually created a more local initiative called the Grangemouth Energy Network, which again is aimed at younger engineers.
We've managed to engage with hundreds of different people to get involved in the network. We've spoke to various levels within the business, create a network that works, that will drive the sustainability message at INEOS and drive projects moving forward.
I think there's some exciting stuff where Kineal can really start to reduce its emissions. We have a number of gas turbine driven compressors on site. So what we'd like to do going forward is replace those with electric motors. So a compressor effectively compresses the gas products which are then fed to the refinery into the wider market. It can be used a whole array of different products. The advantage is if you've actually reduced the emissions associated with producing them, you've actually reduced the carbon footprint.
One really interesting project that has helped develop the sustainability of INEOS FPS is improving some inspection techniques. I've managed to put forward a new technique which would reduce time to scan pipework from 2 to 3 months, which can now be done in 2 weeks. Working on sustainability projects, it's really exciting and you feel empowered.
I think sustainability is really important because it is exactly how it sounds. It sustains the earth for future generations. Us in Houston area, we've definitely lived through a lot of the repercussions of climate change. I think INEOS is in different stages of its sustainability journey, but that's what's exciting to be a part of the Climate Energy Network, to learn about the different businesses and where they are at in their sustainability journey. I've been involved in the circular economy. I've helped to lead our certification effort that helps to ensure our customers that our impact and sustainability is auditable, there's traceability throughout the supply chain. We are doing what we say we are doing.
It's very exciting to be part of these projects and to see them through right from when they're a first idea through to implementation. These really are first tangible steps to be able to achieve climate targets and also to move to circularity.
I think the Young Climate and Energy Network really will transition to, hopefully being much larger, getting more folks involved from different businesses.
When we're looking at sustainability initiatives in the future in 5, 10, 15, 20 years' time, I want to be speaking to these people to start sharing ideas already.
I'm really positive about the future of INEOS. There is a really strong commitment at each level of the organization on sustainability, and my work is also at the center of all that. I can really feel that my voice is heard.
They were possibly the missing parts of the INEOS chemicals jigsaw, but with the acquisition of the Aromatics and Acetals businesses from BP at the beginning of 2021, it's time to take a closer look and see if the puzzle is now complete. We'll start with a look around the Acetals plant right here in Hull.
My name's David Brooks and I'm the CEO for INEOS Acetals. Here at Hull we've got our flagship site. It's part of a global organisation. We've got about 3.5 million tonnes of Acetals capacity, 1,300 employees including joint ventures, turnover around about $2.5 billion. It sort of fits and completes the chemistry set of INEOS. We're linked by pipeline from Grangemouth down to the site. From this site we supply customers as far as Korea and Latin America. We supply into Asia. Our core markets are the European markets. We supply products to sister companies within INEOS, Aromatics company, the Oxide company, with key feedstocks that they need to manufacture their finished products.
Hi, I'm Anna Laws. I'm a graduate process engineer and I work in the asset engineering team for A5. So here on site we make 3 products. We make acetic anhydride, acetic acid and ethyl acetate. And in the tanks behind us you can see stored acetic anhydride and acetic acid. Our products that we make here are used by other industries to feed into their processes that make a wide array of household goods that, as a consumer, you may not always be aware contain products that might be made on this site.
Acetic acid plays an important role in a wide range of industries that supply both businesses and consumers. Everything from food to flavourings, medicines, inks, dyes.
Textiles industry, food packaging, making a product impermeable to oxygen so food lasts longer in effect. We sell products into the automotive industry.
And even solar panels, so that the applications are really diverse.
So it's actually a really exciting time for the site here at Hull because we're just in the process of starting up following a $14 million investment here. It's all about sustainability. And so principally that's 2 factors. Not only have we replaced and built new state-of-the-art boilers, you can see just behind me here, but we're also replacing and have put in new state-of-the-art steam turbines here at the site. Now what that actually means for us is not only are we reducing our carbon emissions by more than 15% here at the site, but we're also reducing our NOx emissions by more than 70%. And this is all part of our wider sustainability roadmap as we look towards net zero by 2050. We've also secured and will get funding for other projects in other parts of the world. We're investing in Korea, moving away from low sulfur fuel oil to natural gas. Again, good for the business, good for the environment, and for a sustainable business over the next decade. So whilst we're leaders in the low carbon production of acetal products, sometimes an often forgotten aspect is actually the application and end use of our products to enable the wider energy transition. And so 2 great examples of that would be the use of our acetic acid to make ethyl vinyl acetate is absolutely critical in the manufacture of solar panels, which obviously is all about the wider energy transition. Secondly, another example is our acetic anhydride. And actually quite an exciting area of growth is through sustainable wood acetylation, which is all about using the anhydride to acetylate the wood to make a more sustainable, durable construction material. Not only locks up carbon for 70+ years, but it displaces higher emission, less sustainable construction materials that are more conventional. So we're absolute world leaders in the sustainable and low carbon production of acetals. And we do that fundamentally through our technology. We've got world-leading technology that's been developed for the last 30+ years across acetic acid, acetic anhydride and ethyl acetate. Secondly, here at Hull, we use natural gas-based feedstocks, and we're integrated into the wider European and North Sea natural gas infrastructure, where we have access to natural gas with some of the lowest carbon footprint out there globally. Well, I think the future for Hull is particularly bright, not just because of the investments we're making, but in taking the business from BP into INEOS. We've simplified the business for Hull's site. We've brought back procurement jobs, customer service jobs, finance jobs that were BP outsourced from this site some years ago. We've realigned the company to be focused on the assets that we have. And in that regard, I think the future for Hull, for the jobs here, the high quality jobs we have here, is particularly bright.
Alongside Acetals, INEOS also acquired the Aromatics business from BP. With sites across the US, Europe and Asia, INEOS Aromatics produces paraxylene and purified terephthalic acid, or PTA, which are the main ingredients to make polyester.
Our business is quite significant. We produce over 5 million tonnes of PTA worldwide. We have 1,300 employees and have a turnover of around $4 billion. And PTA goes into the polyester industry, which is vast. In 2019, over 90 million tonnes of polyester was made. And it comes in three forms. Fibres, which are used in the textile industry. Films are used in electronic circuit boards, and in polyester resins, which are used in the packaging industries. It has advantages over metals and glass and paper, some of the more conventional materials that it's replaced, and generates far less waste in its applications, which is why it's proved to be so popular and why demand for it is growing so strongly.
My name is Jan Verboven. I'm the unit superintendent for the PTA3 unit, which we see behind us. So here in Gale we produce PTA. If you would look to it, it's a white powder. It looks like sugar, in fact. The PTA then is used as an ingredient for polyester applications such as plastic bottles for soft drinks, in the automotive industries or in domestic applications. Also, the ingredient to make the PTA is produced here at site. So from the paraxylene we make the PTA, and the PTA goes then to the customers.
In 2015, we commissioned the most efficient PTA plant within our system and one of the best PTA plants anywhere in the world, in Zhuhai. In fact, that plant is so efficient that it exports energy from the process into the national grid. Somewhere in the region of 200 million kilowatt hours since the plant was commissioned in 2015. That's roughly 130,000 tonnes of reduced CO2 emissions. INEOS is committed to reducing net carbon emissions to zero by 2050, making significant improvements over the next 5 years, where we have up to $3 billion worth of projects in the pipeline. For Aromatics specifically, we started to address the sustainability issue a long time ago.
We have upgraded our PTA technology, allowing us the most sustainable production of PTA. PTA is certified as a carbon neutral PTA.
The retrofit of the most advanced technology means INEOS Aromatics can support customers in reducing their product's footprint through the provision of PTA low carbon PTA, or go further via PTA neutral, a product with net zero emissions through investment in carbon reduction projects that also support sustainable development goals.
So since the launch of PTA, it has saved the equivalent of 5.3 million days of driving a car.
The business has the best technology for manufacturing of PTA anywhere in the world. We're quite excited about being part of the INEOS group. When you look back at some of the other acquisitions that INEOS has made and what it's done to those businesses, how it's improved them, it's a very exciting time for all of us.
To achieve a circular economy, we need to create new uses for many of the plastics that end up in landfill. One part of our business that's doing something about it is Infinia, a new recycling technology that could remove billions of items from landfill every year.
Throughout the INEOS Group, businesses are developing several technologies in parallel, each suited to a different fraction of the plastic waste which is collected. INEOS has already launched over 25 new products containing recycled plastic. And alongside that, work has begun on several recycling solutions for products from styrofoam to polypropylene and PET plastic. The most widely recycled plastic is PET. So can it all be recycled?
So technically, yes. However, I would say that there is a difference between technical recyclability and practical recyclability.
This is Alessia Alberoni, Head of Strategy and Sustainability for INEOS Aromatics.
Well, I think we need a little history here, because originally PET was used in two bottle applications, mineral water and carbonated soft drinks. However, since the 90s, PET started to be used in many more applications. It's used in oils, in food, in cosmetic, in detergents, and to create packagings that protect those products, the functionality had to be changed. Now, the infrastructure for recycling wasn't designed to cope with this complex packaging. So effectively, it hasn't caught up with the innovation in packaging. In theory, all PET can be recycled, but some PET is more difficult than others. So this is the gold standard. This is clear PET, and this can be turned back into a bottle. So this is circular. Now we have evolved our packaging to protect and preserve the content. So this PET contains light barrier technology that prevents the milk from spoiling. However, when this was designed, it created a great functionality, but it didn't take into account the end of life. So today, this one gets confused by the sorting machine, ends up with the color bottles, and then it pollutes that stream.
It's a complex situation, but over in Naperville, Illinois, something quite special is being built that may be about to change that.
So Infinia technology is a new enhanced recycling technology, and so our target is to be able to recycle things that are otherwise thrown away or downcycled. Our goal is to take things that are otherwise waste and bring them back to make a truly circular economy. And so we've built a pilot plant, which we're going to be using to test out this technology.
This state-of-the-art pilot plant has been years in the making at a cost of $25 million. Built at a scale and designed to replicate a commercial plant, this machine hopes to be the proof that Infinia enhanced recycling technology works. But how does this differ from normal mechanical recycling?
Mechanical recycling is when you take material, so flake for example, and you grind it up, you remelt it and make a new plastic out of it. It has limitations. The more you recycle things, it starts to degrade the properties. Whereas enhanced recycling, we take the material and we can take anything, including mixed flake, for example, and we take it down to its building block molecules. Process of depolymerization, and we can separate all of the impurities and colorants and dyes, and then we can build it back together to make a brand new polymer, and it'll be identical to the virgin material. So it'd be like taking a cake and breaking it down to its ingredients, like the flour and the eggs. And then being able to take those raw ingredients and build it back together.
When we're talking about enhanced recycling, we focus on the depolymerization, but actually that's not the most challenging part of bringing this to life. The challenging part, it's around separation of impurities and purification, and this is where we have know-how and also expertise.
The complex PTA purification that singles out Infinia is a technology they have developed over many years.
So people can really be knowing that the recycled material truly can be circular.
I firmly believe that to achieve a circular economy, you cannot do so in isolation. This is why we created a consortium that combines the expertise of several companies across the polyester value chain. We have a number of companies that are part of our consortium. We have Alpla, who is a packaging and recycling specialist. We have a waste management and recycling specialist in Remondis. We have food, drink, and consumer goods producers, Unilever, Britvic, Danone, and of course we got INEOS.
One of those companies, Britvic, know only too well the importance of finding a reliable recycling solution for their packaging.
Our dependency on fossil fuels is a challenge for any business today. Challenges in terms of carbon impacts, waste and pollution. The use of recycled materials is really important. So our commitment is to produce 100% recycled PET in our GB portfolio by 2022. We recognise the importance of collaborations and partnerships with organisations like Infinia that can take us on that journey to achieve a circular economy for plastics.
I firmly believe this can take us closer to a circular economy. When deployed at scale and in multiple sites, this has the potential of diverting billions of PET trays and PET bottles from landfill and incineration.
I really believe this will make a difference. It's something I'm excited to be working on, and it's really cool to work on something that we think could have an impact on people's lives. So.
Here at INEOS, we see a constant flow of stories. And over the past few months, we've seen some special events. Here is a quick rundown of news from across the INEOS group.
As the world looks for cleaner alternative ways of energy, INEOS has provided cornerstone backing for Hydrogen One, a listed fund dedicated to investing in hydrogen. INEOS has extensive experience using hydrogen already, producing 400,000 tonnes a year, and this investment will enable access to further projects that will advance the decarbonisation of many industries. A consortium of 30 companies and institutions, including INEOS Energy, have been formed to support the next phase of the Green Sand Carbon Capture and Storage project. Located in the North Sea, the primary objective of the Green Sand project is to safely and permanently store potentially up to 8 million tonnes of CO2 per annum in the INEOS-operated Siri area. The Energy Technology Development and Demonstration Programme in Denmark has been approached for a grant, and if successful, a pilot programme will begin in 2022. This project is the first of its kind in Europe, and if completed, could help Denmark reach its CO2 reduction targets for 2030 and beyond. Pipelife in Norway, a leading international manufacturer of sustainable piping solutions, has launched a new range of fossil fuel-free pipes made from biovin. Biovin is the world's first commercially available bio-attributed PVC, made from renewable biomass, delivering a greenhouse gas saving of over 90%. The pipes will be used in the building industry to provide vital infrastructure, including water pipes, cabling, and electrical housing. This partnership marks another positive step towards transitioning to a low-carbon society. This April, INEOS sites in Texas and California were recognized for their successful trials in advanced recycling. They were awarded the International Sustainability and Carbon Certification Plus. Advanced recycling converts waste plastic back into raw material that can be used again in plastic production. This commercial-scale trial produced a range of materials from ethylene, polypropylene to HDPE, materials that we depend on for everyday products. And it doesn't stop there. INEOS have teamed up with French dairy brand Acetals to produce the world's first HDPE milk bottle made from advanced recycling. 140,000 of these bottles have been produced at the Montauban production plant in France. They are fully compliant with food safety regulations and certified by the Roundtable on Sustainable Biomaterials.
This partnership with Acetals is very important because it allows to produce milk bottles in a much more sustainable way. So moving towards a more circular economy, a greener future, reducing our dependence on fossil fuels, and also avoiding landfill.
This July, car enthusiasts finally got to see the much-anticipated reveal of the INEOS Grenadier's new interior. The design and functionality have been met with rave reviews.
Quite a perfect balance between functionality and just something that feels really, really special and quite different as well, I think.
I'll be signing up to get my name on the list to get one of these from full production models as soon as they're ready.
This vision includes a nod to the INEOS cycling team with the much-talked-about toot button. In October, prospective customers will be able to reserve their Grenadier, and then will be able to make a full purchase in March 2022.
And that's it. We hope you've enjoyed the show and got an insight into some of the work that we're doing to build towards a more sustainable future.
Hearing from people across the business, it's clear to see that the transition to net zero is a challenge that INEOS is not shying away from.
And we'll continue to innovate and evolve to find new solutions.
So make sure you check back in with us on the road to net zero.
See you next time.